You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to Nolan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Welcome, everybody, to Trophy Horse episode number 721. Tricky has decided to leave the show to me again, so here we are, Granelli Takeover back in effect. And I think with the magnificent trio that we have running this, the show just works so much better and smoother. That's just my opinion. How about you? What are your thoughts, Alex?
I don't know how many thoughts I have this week, Matt, because I am... usually the saying goes to hell and back. Well, I'm in Helheim, and this time I don't think I'm coming back. I'll tell you that much. But I'm at least glad that the show is under your control, because we know what happens when the old Trickmeister gets his grubby paws on it.
Yeah, and I know Yield's here to discuss that as well. How do you feel about this Granelli takeover that happens every so often, Yield?
Well, you are right. Things do move smoothly. I was going to make a correlation with that. It's heating up in the Midwest, and we've got the I was going to say Flamemeister, but that's so stupid. But we got the guy that likes to make it hot over here running the show. So the only disappointing thing about not having Tricky here tonight is the topic of the week, and I was somewhat looking forward to him defending the topic of the week.
Well, Tricky loves to get offended when you call him a guest on, quote, his own show, but I don't know, man. We got a big topic for topic of the week. Where is he?
Well, so I can't give him too much slack because, unfortunately, the Granelli takeover is only in effect for tonight. So I'll put this right out there. The rock star-sized elephant in the room. Next 3 weeks, I will not be here between FIFA games that my job calls me to handle stuff, and taking a mini vacation out in Ohio. I won't be here. So good luck, guys.
Oh, which part of Ohio are you deciding to grace your presence with?
So it's going to be the Cincinnati area.
Okay.
Channel 3 is holding what's to be their second annual C3 Con. So we're going to be going out there and meeting other people from Channel 3 and engaging in some games, some tournaments, some camaraderie, maybe some light ribbing here and there. But I've told them make sure that the venue has a full fire inspection and sprinklers and fire extinguishers ready to go, because I can't promise that something won't get set on fire at some point.
Down.
Matt, I'll make a little point here. That's an hour and 40 minutes from where I live. So
It's an hour and a half from me.
I mean, I'm scheduled to come back on Sunday, Alex, so, maybe halfsy we can meet up somewhere.
I'll see. I'll let you know. I'll message you, or I would drive to maybe Cincinnati. But yeah, we'll see if I'll text you privately and see if we can set something up.
Okay. Yeah, and if not, no worries. Just I didn't even know that. So
wouldn't that be hilarious if I met you before I met Tricky in real life?
I'd have a good laugh.
I'm laughing, and that's great.
Well, anyways, we are the Trophy Whores. Therefore, 2 out of the 3 of us do care about numbers. So therefore, we are going to go into our updated trophy counts. Did these actually get updated?
Yes, sir. They are
thank
updated.
You. Okay. So Tricky is at level 988 with 35,924 trophies and 1,048 platinums. I don't see that number going up much faster given one of our news stories, but who knows? Alex?
Take them all from him. Take them all. I am level 536, total trophy count of 11,380, and a platinum count of a platinum count of 212 and 211 games. I have earned another since the last time I was on this show, and chances are, the next time you hear my voice, I will have earned another.
Ooh, fancy.
Well, next time on another show, not this show, because if that'd just be crazy.
Well, we specialize in crazy here. Yield.
Well, really,
your counts?
it's our normal, so it's our sane.
There
I
you
don't know
go.
if we call it crazy
go.
anymore.
I am a level 546 with a trophy count of 12,010. I don't know if I was on last week? Can't remember. Anyway, I've hit 12,000, so yay me. I'm at a platinum count of 231, and I too have had a platinum recently.
Ooh, hope to hear about it.
Ooh.
I am level 224, and gentlemen, I have gone up 1 trophy.
Woo!
1,393 trophies and 0 platinums. You'll hear about how that happened. And Sid is at level 902 with 28,168 and 869. So, unfortunately, we don't have a Sophie's Trophies this week, so no recording there. And since this is the end of the year trophy rarity update, rather than have you all just kind of sit down and listen to a lengthy cut in right now, what we're going to do is Yield's going to go gather the notes from the Facebook group. He's going to put out a separate recording for you all to specialize, so that way you can kind of just jump in and hear exactly what you want to hear from the contest. So premature congrats to all the winners, and better luck next time to all the losers. So now we can go into what we are playing. Yield, why don't we try you first?
All right, so I've dabbled in a little bit of Helldivers. I only played a couple times. I did play when they offered up the 2 new FVRs. No, FRVs, sorry. And I played the map where I got to try both. I enjoyed both of them for what they were. You have the supply one with the auto gun, and you have to reload it when it runs out of ammo. So that was kind of interesting. And then I tried the one that was the flamethrower. Matt would like that one because you can catch yourself and your own dudes on fire. If you point the thing too far close to you, you'll burn everybody up. So I liked both vehicles, but obviously the supply one was running away with it. Like nobody was even going after the fire one, and everybody was liberating the planet with the supply one. It hasn't dropped in to the stratagems yet, so I don't know what the holdup is there, because we did win that major order. But like I said, messed around with that a little bit. Been playing a lot of Roadcraft on my own, which I am just on the last map now. And I've been also playing through a multiplayer session with Nitro and Prepare to Die or Scum. And we are on the next to last map. We got 2 maps to go there. It'll be a while before I get that platinum, because you have to travel 5,000 kilometers with your scout vehicle. And once I realized that it was just your scout vehicle, I've obviously been trying to use it more. And I'm only at 26% of the way there. So I got a long way to go. And then also been playing some Rocket Birds 2 Evolution, which is my latest platinum. So, and that's really been about it. I don't really think I've been diving into anything else.
So I did load up the PlayStation 5 the other night, and I thought I saw you online with MZ. I couldn't remember if that was Rocket League or something else.
Probably Roadcraft.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, it shows how much I was paying attention. Hopefully I do a little better paying attention to what Alex has been playing.
Well, Matt, glad you asked. So, since I've been on, I had made it quite a bit through Darksiders. I actually had beaten the game. And when I talked to you all, well, I say when I talked to you all last, when I recorded a piece and sent it to you all, and you heard my thoughts there, some deeper thoughts on Darksiders. I'd beaten the game. I was doing a legendary run, or sorry, not an apocalyptic run. And I still recommend, to make that apocalyptic run easier, play the game on normal, get the abyssal armor, and then wear the abyssal armor from the start of your apocalyptic run. Makes everything much, much easier. Unless, of course, you want the challenge of being non-apocalyptic all the way through. Me personally, I'm 41 years old, and I don't have to prove how tough I am by, beating a game on its hardest settings, so I don't really care. But if it's, something that you want to do, that's completely up to you. When I went through the game, I had noticed, especially the second time through, I kind of keyed in on a few items that you could really tell that this was a first game in kind of an arc and kind of a series, because some of the items and some of the things that you get as war just are used a few times and then are completely unnecessary the rest of the game. One of the items being the Earth Caller. Basically, you use it to move the Guardians on your way to the Twilight Cathedral and the Hollows. And after that, you can use it to kind of stun enemies who might be blocking or guarding against your attacks. But realistically, that thing becomes useless after the first two areas. Another example is like the mystic bridges that you get. Well, I should say mystic. I say bridges. I mean one bridge, because to get from the Ashlands to the Iron Canopy, you need to have Ruin, and Ruin can run across this mystic bridge that appears as you're running across it. And it makes a bit like it stops the game, takes you to a menu. It's like, hey, this is how these work. There's a single one in the game, and that's it. So, while the items and the weapons are cool, there are definitely things that they threw against the wall that you could tell weren't long-time ideas, and they just kind of vary in usage. And it feels like some of the stuff, with iteration in a video game series, you can cut some of the stuff out and just kind of focus on the more key elements. Again, not like it doesn't make the game any worse, but it's just something I noticed that some of the weapons, by the time you get halfway through the game or deeper in the game, just you won't use them anymore. The last thing I will say for Darksiders, since I gave you an overall very positive view of the game, still holds up pretty well, I enjoyed it, is that the Aerial Predator trophy. We are a trophy show, trophy whores. So the Aerial Predator is a trophy that you have to get. There's only one flying section in the game. It's when you're riding the armored Griffin mount to the Twilight Cathedral to go take out Tiamat. During that section, you have to kill 160 enemies, and a lot of people find that very difficult. My first time through, I actually only got 66% of that. But once I watched a video on YouTube and kind of got some tips on how to do it, my second time through, I got 98% of the trophy. Third time, I got it with ease. I cleared the 160, no problem. So my tips for that section, number one, when you get to the end of the broken stair and you use the beholder key to open the gate, the blue gate with the big eye, and you're getting ready to go up the steps, save there. Make a manual save, because that is about to be where you're going to get on the mount, and it auto-saves multiple times throughout that flight. So if for some reason, it's not like you autosave at the beginning of the flight, but throughout time, they'll create more autosaves, and if you lose that first autosave and you don't get the 160, you're going to have to start an entirely new game to get to the section. So good thing is it's not very far into the game, but if you can just try over again from a manual save, you would rather do that. And so use the lock-on feature. Hold down R2 if you're on the PlayStation 5, and just lock on to all the enemies. What you want to focus on really hitting, and I didn't hit these at all first time through the game, but there are trucks, there are tankers, gas tankers down on the ground, as well as enemies. Hit those. They'll blow up, they'll knock away part of the land, they'll get quite a few kills towards that 160, so that's something I didn't focus on at all, because I didn't know you could do that. Hit the tankers and the trucks on the ground. Don't worry so much about the big armored enemies. You may not be able to kill them, or you'll have to focus so much time on them that it's not going to matter. But for all the other angels, use the homing reticle, and then especially you want to make sure during the cave section you get a lot of the smaller enemies that'll give you health, that are one-hit enemies. Again, this is where using the homing, holding down R2, and just moving the reticle all around the screen, release R2, shoot out all the projectiles. That's where it'll really help you. So what's going to push you over 160? Using the homing, holding the button down, hitting the tankers and the trucks on the ground, and then also focusing on the small one-hit enemies in the caves. That's very pertinent to getting 160. But again, a lot of people have issues with that trophy. They curse that trophy to the high heavens. Once you watch a video on it, once you understand how it works, it's actually a pretty easy trophy to get. So that is Darksiders for me, another platinum in the books. And so my next game that I started, I did see that there is a Woolhaven DLC for Cult of the Lamb. They took away my 100% by adding more trophies in with this new add-on, this new extra piece of content that they released in January. So I did see that the Woolhaven edition of Cult of the Lamb is on sale right now. I might have to go get that because, I got to go get those trophies, and I did enjoy Cult of the Lamb. So I'll check that out maybe after this next game that I'm going to play. Or who knows? Maybe it'll be Starfox. Maybe I'll be able to talk some Starfox the next time I'm on here. But the game I've been playing, we got the unfortunate news of Ninja Theory going down, Microsoft closing them down. And I wanted to do a little homage, a little pour one out for Ninja Theory. So I went back and I upgraded to the PS5 version of Hellblade because I have the PS4 version already. And I am playing through Hellblade again. Now, the key difference is the same trophy list, so there's no difference there. But the key difference in this playthrough this time around is I'm playing with headphones this time. I did not play with I didn't play with the headphones the time before, and so I figured, what a perfect time. It's free to upgrade to the PS5 version. I've never played with headphones and Ninja Theory. What a way to appreciate them, as unfortunately they are, at this moment no longer, making games. Than to go through and play Hellblade. And I'm not very far. I beat Cert, and I've got to go beat Valravn after that, and then I can open the door on the way to Hela. To see, to go and give her a piece of my mind. But yeah, the headphones make a big difference. Like just from the early part of the game when you're rowing in on your canoe with Senua, you can hear the sound of the oar dipping in the water. You hear all the voices, some of them telling you, pushing you forward, and the other voices trying to pull you back before you enter Helheim. But yeah, the voices, it's probably one of this game's biggest strong points because one of the things about this game's difficulty is it's not a hard game. I'm not saying you won't die because during some of the fire trials, because I forgot if you take too long, you can die during the fire trials on the way to Cert. But the difficulty of this game isn't really the strong point. The combat is fun. It is a little repetitive. And the enemies, I remember being a little on the repetitive side. But the sound design is just immaculate. So I do think that playing with the headphones matters. So that is one key difference in my playthrough now. Oh, and, one thing that can kind of get lost in the shuffle if you're just using surround sound or you're just using whatever your TV speakers are is the voices will tell you when an enemy is coming up from behind you, and that'll give you a cue when to dodge, when to block. So that can help you parry and counterattack and all that kind of stuff. So headphones definitely make a big difference with this game. Combat's not so thus far not very difficult. Parrying is pretty easy, as it were. I've been spending some time with the photo mode, which is not as it's not super in depth. I mean, well, I don't say super in depth, but basically the way I like to interact with photo mode is I like to set the context. I like set the camera, get a good context for the picture, get a nice angle, and then use the different what are they called? The tints, like changing from to sepia or like black and white or something like that.
The filters.
The filters, yeah. Just use the filters. Like easy peasy way to make your pictures look nice, give them a nice kind of like extra shine. So I don't mess with the lightness, the darkness, all that kind of stuff, which is more of what they do with Senua's photo mode. But still, you can get some damn snappy pictures out of it. And I will say that I don't want to spoil too much, but this is one game where, a lot of games it's about triumph and victory. And to service the story in this game, that's not what this game is about. Now, I have not played Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, so I don't necessarily know how the story continues. But the end of this game is not like it's not like one like slathered in victory. I'll say that. And if you've beaten the game, you know. So, but I mean, overall, just immaculate sound design. The game itself, I mean, I'm not like combat's fine enough, but I think the story and the lore and the whole use of kind of mind tricks with through the audio, like messing with your mind in that regard, and just the visuals. I mean, the game does look good. I think that's really where everything that stuff I guess what I would say is takes a precedent over the difficulty of the combat. So, but I enjoyed Hellblade my first time through. And so, yeah, I expect that my opinion will not change, although I will probably appreciate more of the work they did in the audio department, because I think that's kind of really where the game shines. And like I said, all of that feedback directly into your head, in your ears, from headphones kind of changes the way you perceive the world and everything that's going on in the story. So yeah, play that game with headphones. But that's kind of the major difference. I wanted to pay homage to Ninja Theory, but also I wanted to play with headphones this time around. So I thought, what better way to do so than, give another crack at it. So that is what I've been
I have access to the VR version because I've heard, yes, play it with headphones. I'm wondering if I play it with the VR version, how much more immersive that gets.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that sounds really good.
I mean, you might as well try it.
Yeah,
what do you get?
Maybe I will. I'll let you guys know. My sanity. So I've heard.
Well, I thought you said all sorts of crazy things. Just a bunch of wild and crazy guys.
Yeah, you're. I got that reference. Yeah, no, we are crazy, so maybe I will try it. Speaking of things I've tried, I did play a couple games this week. I did a little bit more Mecha Chameleon, which is that hide and seek game where you get to hide and paint yourself to kind of blend in with the background while your friends hunt for you. Just proving once again that how much I suck at art stuff because I can't paint for shit. I have to depend on like tucking myself away in a corner and painting myself a dark color to blend in with the shadows, and hopefully I don't get caught. I played more Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. I forgot if I mentioned this last week or when I actually did it. I reached the final boss in the DLC and promptly got stomped. So what I have to do now is there's these objects you collect in the game that when you get them, it levels you up in the DLC separate from like your in-game level. And that helps give damage mitigation and boost your damage to enemies. So I've collected probably close to half of them in the DLC. So I have a lot more to go. And I suspect that will help me significantly in getting through. I played a little bit of
the final boss of the Erdtree. Is that where do you fight Melania?
That's in the base game.
And is Melania a secret boss? The Blade of Mikola? I guess we should give the proper title.
Yes.
Okay.
Who I've never taken on because I'm too much of a pussy to take her on.
Well, then why do you play these games in the first place if you're not going to take them all on?
Because I can beat the game. I don't have to beat every boss to beat the game. I just have to beat the main bosses.
I get that, but you're already playing a hard as balls game anyway. Why not, just go for broke, man?
Because I'll leave her for last. I'll go after her once I've conquered all there is to conquer. Because she'll be the mountain to overcome. I also put some time into Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I've mentioned this before, but I'm getting into that game because with the sequel coming out, I figured it's about time that I actually go in and do said game. I love the art style.
Game's hard.
The game is hard.
Well, I am playing it on story mode just to be able to get through it. So,
wow, you are.
I get my difficulty from Elden Ring, not from Kenna. What'd you say, Alex?
I said, wow, you are a pussy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, that game, I can't say anything because when I had to play through that game on hard, I used the exploit to get the platinum trophy to skip a lot of it.
Ditto, I did the same thing because I was like, by the end of the game, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I want to give this a go. And it took everything I had just to get to the first village. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Exploit time.
I think the part of that game that really had me questioning whether I was too old to play games anymore was the second boss, the Corrupted Woodsmith. I mean, that boss fight is just fucking... I don't know why I found it so hard, but it was a rough go. So, the important thing, Matt, is that you're playing the game.
I'm currently in the woods trying to find the older brother of the two siblings. So I'm not too far into the game, but so I'm just starting my adventure. But I do enjoy it.
You still have to happen across. I can't remember what the first boss's name is, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't come across that. So yeah, no, I'll continue that on, and I'll split my time between my main PC and my Steam Deck because it is playable on the deck. So I'll be doing that. Then over on to the PlayStation 5, which actually is why I got my one trophy. I took advantage of the upgrade that Rockstar gave us for Grand Theft Auto 5, and I downloaded the PS5 version, and I started a new run in Grand Theft Auto 5. Figured it'll hold me over until 6 comes out. And, they talk about the rumors of how big GTA 6 is going to be. We'll talk about this a little bit later on our topic of the week, but just for reference, the GTA 5 version on PS5 is over 100 gigabytes. So if the rumors about GTA 6 being 200 or more.
And that includes online.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So just, folks, maybe clean up some space on your PS5s. I'd say clean up space on your Xbox, but we know nobody on Xbox is buying it there. Then
right.
Going over to the Switch 2, do you know how many barrel rolls I've been doing this past week?
Do a barrel roll.
A lot.
Fox.
Wait, is that Peppy that says that?
Peppy, yes. Yeah. He definitely says it. And we can go into the what is it, that meme where it's like, you're actually doing a aileron roll that you're just spinning in. Yeah, because a barrel roll is you're actually like circling in a barrel, whereas here you're just spinning in place. Not the point, not the main thing here. I have gotten to the quote unquote end where you beat Andros, but now it just opens up the rest of the game and you have to find the secret paths and extra missions and things like that. I will say the game plays beautifully. The voice acting is a little weird. It's not like it was on the 64, but they've got cutscenes. The cutscenes are beautifully rendered. The characters look fluid. Falco is still an asshole. And Slippy is maybe not as annoying as he was on the N64, but I never played. I didn't play any of the Star Foxes when they came out. I played Star Fox 64 3D on my 3DS, and I never even really beat it. So being able to just jump in, play on normal, I can work to unlock expert mode. As I said, I can go find all the additional things. It has online and couch co-op. It just for $50, it's just a nice piece of nostalgia for a lot of people who love Star Fox. I remember going over to my best friend's house and playing Star Fox 64, just playing versus mode. So this is definitely just a return to form and in a brand new package. So, Alex, if you're talking about Nintendo doing remakes well, they did Star Fox very well. I'm thinking they've got Ocarina of Time on lockdown.
I refuse to accept that game will not be amazing. Just you have the blueprint and you know where you can make improvements. So it ought to be just a home fucking run. But I'm glad to hear. I know that Star Fox has been a point of contention for a lot of Nintendo fans because they seemingly have not known where to take the series, and when they tried to do something like Star Fox Adventures, which was originally kind of scoffed at, but has since then gained quite a few fans to where people are like, "Well, why are you talking shit about Crystal and Star Fox?" But honestly, I saw the scores for this, and they were good scores. They're not out of this world, but I will say, I honestly think that this is the best thing you can do with Star Fox. I mean, it's kind of hard to take. I mean, people may disagree with this, but for me personally, it's hard to take Star Fox on land. It's hard to take Fox McCloud on land and really want to just run around and blast things. Like, the key component always has to be the R-Wing, or, I forget what the submarine is called, or the Landmaster, I think, is the tank. That's got to be the key components of it. So Star Fox may never get out of this kind of game where it's just like a clone of Star Fox 64. But man, every couple decades they'll pull it out and it'll be just glorious. So I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it, man. I'm going to buy the game. I'm also glad to hear it's $50 because I did not know that.
Well, it's I think. What did I pay for it? Hold on one second, because it's Nintendo doing the digital versus physical thing, but because Amazon and Walmart and everybody were doing the physical the same price as digital, I ended up getting it there. So if I go back to my orders and I can find when it was actually ordered, I know this is a thrilling radio. Let's see, Star Fox Nintendo Switch. Yeah, so it's $60 physical and $50 digital. The pre-orders were the same price as digital at the time, so they're unfortunately too late to get the physical same price as digital.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a throwback. This is a throwback here for Nintendo because two of their biggest games, arguably their two biggest games. People may say Pokopia is one of their biggest games, but for me, it's Starfox and Ocarina of Time. Throwing it back to the 64, baby.
Yeah, and that speaks to a better time. And you talk about, Star Fox going out on foot on adventure and Star Fox Adventures. There's plenty of love for that game. Unfortunately, there's not a heck of a lot of love for Star Fox Zero, which was meant to kind of be like a reboot and a very gimmicky type of game on the Wii U. And unfortunately, the controls were bad. I don't know how they ever released that game with the way the controls were, because I think graphically, I think mission-wise, it was fine. It's just the controls made it a bear to use, and it shouldn't be for a game like that.
I mean, it's always hard to judge a game based on its performance on the Wii U because, realistically, the Wii U didn't do well. It was not a fine... I mean, who knows? Maybe Nintendo considers it a financial success, but if you're a consumer, no one looks at that console as a success.
It wasn't a success.
It was kind of like this holdover, this stopgap from between the Wii and the Switch. So it's kind of this awkward teenage Charmeleon kind of thing that exists between two things that people bought like crazy.
Yeah. People love the Charmander. They love the Charizard. Charmeleon, they're like, when are you going to become a Charizard?
Or if you're a Squirtle fan, the Wartortle. Or the Ivysaur.
Yeah, nobody wants Wartortle.
For all the Bulbas out there.
No, there are no Bulba fans.
Oh, there's got to be some Bulbasaur fans.
I would say this about Star Fox. Maybe it's a little too wishful thinking that you hope people buy into this, even though it's a remake, just to be able to hopefully get a brand new Star Fox game at some point. They have the engine, they have the mechanics, they have the ability to make a good game. I just don't know if they have ideas on how to make new missions or continue the story. That's my biggest concern. But I'm hopeful that maybe this leads to a new Star Fox down the road that is like a completely new original story.
Yeah, the burning question for Nintendo is how do you get Fox McCloud and team out of the R wings when its most popular games are in the R wings? Like what do you do with that?
Yeah,
and
that's
I
what they try.
For the life of me, Matt, maybe you can tell me, differently, but I mean, I guess there's Splatoon, but thinking of a third-person combat shooting game for Nintendo consoles made by Nintendo that's really good, am I missing one that's really, really good, Matt, or they just kind of don't really go into that territory?
Damn good question. Third-person action. No, I mean you stick with the Marios and the Zeldas. That's basically it.
The Zeldas and the Marios.
The two pieces of the Nintendo Triforce. What would the third piece of the Triforce in Nintendo be?
What would the third be?
Donkey Kong? Or is that lumped in with Mario?
Yeah, but Donkey Kong came out before Mario, even though Mario was in there. Jumpman was in there.
Yeah. All right, folks, we'll pose that question to you for next week.
Smash Brothers? Would it have to be Smash Brothers?
Which everybody's here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pose that question to you all next week and see what answers you can give us. But we do have some news stories to go over for you all tonight. And, I apologize to the guys. There was a lot of news this week, so we're going to try to kind of get through some of this.
Apologize to yourself, Matt.
Yeah, it's fine. I can cover stories appropriately without having to write out notes. Zing. So in the first of many news stories that came out, the Steam Machine was officially launched / price revealed. And yeah, there was the internet was lit afire with this. So basically, the Steam Machine was launched for reservations on the 25th. You can go into Steam and choose one of a couple options, being a 512 gigabyte model or a 2 terabyte model, and then either of those models with a Steam controller. The Steam controller was discounted about $30 if you ordered it with the machine. However, the machine itself, I know we talked about this, and I actually went back to episode 694 because that's when it was originally announced, and Tricky claims he was right. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the 512 gigabyte model is $1,049. And the 2 terabyte model is $1,349. So an extra $300 for another 1.5 terabytes. So this did not sit well with a lot of people, because now you started talking about, well, what's the performance like? And people are putting its performance at below a base PS5, which you could, for a 2 terabyte model, you could buy 2 PS5s essentially. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about, well, how did this pricing come up? And Steam was not shy on advertising that, you know, the current AI bubble, as well as the RAM and storage crisis, contributed to this. And they talked about the original pricing, and they said that while a lot of interviewers would come out and say, I asked Steam, or I asked Valve about what the original price was, and they wouldn't give me an answer, but they said, listen, the Steam Decks, both their models went up about $300 or $400. And they said, technically the Steam machine kind of was commensurate with that increase. So you're talking about the original, the 512, probably being $300 or $400 cheaper, pushing it down into the $700 range. Or the 512 or the 2 terabyte model being, sub $1,000. And when asked about this, especially on the RAM part, Valve said that they can't negotiate RAM prices with people. They were going out to manufacturers of RAM, and the manufacturers are saying, here's the price, take it or leave it. And if Valve said, well, fine, we'll go elsewhere, they were basically put on a do not sell list. They wouldn't be able to buy RAM, which would further constrict their ability to produce these consoles. This is all just very unfortunate timing. And again, we talk about a PS5 Pro being $900, and the Steam machine barely squeaks out 4K 60 frames a second without using upscaling. It's a hard buy. Now, that hasn't stopped people from buying into it, and then now scalpers are throwing it up on eBay asking for twice the price. So me being the PC enthusiast, I'm looking at this thing going, if it was around $600 or $700, it would be compatible or comparable to some entry level PCs and even to some consoles. But here we are. I know neither of you really are in the market for this, but what do you think about the whole pricing drama?
Well, I mean, I had heard, I didn't know it was for the Steam machine, but I had heard that they couldn't negotiate, the RAM prices. We all knew that prices were going to go up because it's hard to get, the chips and everything. I want to say you can't blame Valve, because if they have to pay a higher price than what they were expecting, like we've said before, they're not going to eat that. They're going to pass it on to the consumer. So I'm more shocked that, not that the prices went up, but the fact that it's not on par or better than a PlayStation 5 Pro. I mean, are you more alarmed by that, Matt? Or like surprised by it?
No. Listen, it would take a lot for a machine of that size with the architecture to get to a PS5 Pro. I was just hoping that the pricing would kind of be in alignment with its performance. And gotcha. I don't think it is.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. Like where you said, I mean, granted, for an extra, terabyte and a half, you said that, I mean, you can store a lot of Steam games on that, but, is that worth $300?
Now, that being said, there is a micro SD slot where you could buy micro SD slots and put it in there to expand your memory, but those aren't cheap anymore either. So it's going to be like a $200 for a 2 terabyte, or I think even more for a 2 terabyte SD card. So really? They're pricing it in alignment.
I remember when those used to be inexpensive.
Yeah, 2 terabyte micro SD card on Amazon. An Amazon basic 2 terabyte card. I'm sorry, 1 terabyte card is $200.
Good God.
A SanDisk 2 terabyte Extreme is $400. Alexar $430. Let's see, SanDisk 1.5 terabyte $239. So it's not like they're pricing it outside of the market. It's just console manufacturers are used to subsidizing their consoles, and Steam's not subsidizing the Steam machine. Alex, any thoughts on this pricing madness?
I understand that people are used to, when it comes to PCs, spending more money for the upkeep on their machine, but they also expect, really good performance. This makes PC gaming a more, I guess I could say it makes it easier for people to enjoy PC gaming through this little box. It makes it easier to use. I'm assuming it's, takes out a lot of the upgrades you would have to do to your machine, like if with Matt's PC, having to upgrade things now and again to make sure it's compatible with the top of the line games. That's kind of cut out with this. So ease of use does improve, but also because PC players are used to paying a lot of money for the upkeep of their console, or not their console, but their computer, they expect it to do more. They expect it to play better than a console. So when you have this machine, which is not going to perform as well as, say, the PlayStation 5, which is, half the price, I don't know how well people are going to take that. Like, I don't blame Steam or Valve for the cost of the console. But at the same time, I don't blame consumers for if this fails, because I can't blame anyone for not wanting to spend that much money for this thing. I would say that this thing is not worth that much money. If you're a PC enthusiast and you play on PC and you have the money to spend, I can understand why people enjoy playing on PC. But that said, I don't know how you can justify this thing being that worth that much money when you're not going to get the performance of a PC, but you're also not going to get the performance of a PlayStation 5. Like, just economically, it doesn't work out, or doesn't really drive enthusiasm to me. Because if you already have a PC, why the fuck are you going to spend that much money on this thing? And if you're playing on a PlayStation 5 and that already runs better, why are you going to go spend double the money for this thing to have? I just, I don't blame Valve, but I also don't understand how people find any excitement or thrill in buying this little console.
So I'll say this about it is, I think for what it can do and what it means for the average user being able to kind of buy something, I think it's a great piece of tech, but I can't support it at the price of what they're doing. Now, that may be out of their control, but Papa Newell isn't really hurting. There's a lot of stories about how many yachts he has and everything that's there. So could they subsidize it? Should they subsidize it? I think so. I think they're earning enough money from their freaking loot box schemes on Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 to subsidize this. It hurts because as you're trying to break into the market and you bring out a box that performs worse than cheaper consoles, you try to argue, well, you're not paying online services. So I don't know how much Pro or Gold is now for the year, but that's a couple $100. So maybe you go, all right, well, you can save you subsidize it yourself by not paying for online. And then you go, well, Steam has sales all the time on AAA games, so maybe you save yourself there. But it still comes down to performance. If it's performing worse than current gen consoles, I look at it, my Steam Deck, and it still plays a lot of great games, but it is showing its age. I tried loading up Monster Hunter Wilds, and it is not good, even with some of the upscaling capabilities and putting everything on low. Kena plays well, but you can obviously tell that there's some hiccups. So a small form factor box like this is great for the living room, but at the price, like you said, if you own a PC already, there's really no benefit for you getting this, unless you wanted to put something on your PC in the living room. And maybe you can get away with a 512 gigabyte machine because you sit there and go, all right, well, if most of my games are on my main PC, I can download a couple onto the box here and just switch between those. But how is this going to jive when in a year and a half, when Rockstar, potentially brings GTA 6 to this box, is this thing even going to be able to play GTA 6? That's, a big concern. So people are going to go, well, if I'm going to buy a machine that's going to lock me in for GTA 6, I could go spend $900 on a PS5 Pro and get 2 terabytes of storage and plenty of games to play. So it's you all know where I sit with PC, and I'll be one of the first ones to say this is a bad look on PC gaming as it relates to what Steam can do. Should they have subsidized this? I believe so.
I guess here's the big question, Matt. Are you buying this thing?
No. To a finer point, I don't have a need for it. I have my PC, V has her PC, and we have a PC hooked up to the living room TV. There's no reason for us to get it. If I didn't have that living room PC, maybe, because any other PC you would try to get now is even more expensive than what that is. The other thing to remember is you buy this doesn't inherently have things like Game Pass or Epic Game Store. You have to do some workarounds to be able to use it like that. And that's not, a lot of people aren't going to be buying into that. It's mostly the enthusiasts or people who are already bought into the Steam architecture. But Steam isn't the only problem, one who has problems with their pricing. Guess what? The Xbox also has an update, giving everybody a month and a half, maybe a little over a month. Effective August 1st, they're updating their prices worldwide, and the price of the Xbox console will increase by $100 for the 512 gigabyte and $150 for the 1 terabyte model. That's bringing those consoles. Actually, what is the current pricing? Xbox Series
this is
X
the second price increase, is it not?
Yeah. And in their thing, they were like, we were hopeful that we didn't have to do another price increase. Unfortunately, we have to. And it's like, unfortunately, motherfucker, like, how much are you making on this console, or how much are you losing? So basically, the 1 terabyte is going up to $800, $100 lower than a PS5 Pro. Now, you could argue that it performs somewhat similar to the Pro, but that means that the 512 gigabyte, I think that's now moving up to like $600 or so. So yeah, shit, Xbox, like you were going so well with your announces on reducing Game Pass price and bringing Gears of War exclusivity, and now Kotaku had an article saying Xbox hardware had their worst May in the US ever. They said PlayStation didn't do too well either, but like, you had a bad month and you're choosing to upgrade. And now there's rumors that potentially there may not be enough consoles to go around for the holidays for GTA 6, because there also might be something about Xbox being like, yeah, we're really not going to be pumping out many more Series X's. It makes me really worried for their Helix console, as well as whatever the PlayStation 6 is going to be. Like, I think we're going to see a $1,200 PlayStation 6 at some point. I don't know.
I mean, that wouldn't be surprising, but I mean, other than your trickies of the world that will run after and buy it, how many people are going to drop $1,200 on a system?
I'm not. I'm not buying the next console series at launch unless there's like Spider-Man 3, which in that case I might have to learn some patience.
Sorry, what was that word?
Patience.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I have to look it up. I just heard somebody say it once when I was talking about how much I spend on video games.
Slow your roll, man. Slow your roll.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Xbox. Just they had 2 easy wins.
They did the Sony thing. Take a step forward and take 5 back.
And then now it's oh, well, not only are we laying off studios, we might have to spin off Xbox. Oh, by the way, our current console is going to be much more expensive.
Do you think they
what the fuck
did
is going on?
They did the whole, Xbox brand is alive and well, and the whole, we're cutting the price on Game Pass. Do you think they did that kind of stuff? And Asha Sharma said the right thing, seemingly, to build up goodwill so they could go do this shit now?
Hard to say.
To kind of push it back to
that is a strategy.
I mean, it's kind of too bang for me. If they waited, maybe. Well, you can't wait too long around Christmas time because then people would throw even a bigger fit. But it just feels, you didn't even get to the end of June from all your goodwill, and then now you're like, oh, and by the way, your consoles are going to cost more if you haven't bought in yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's astounding that once again they're raising the price, and again, like, who in this day and age is buying an Xbox for this generation? Realistically, like,
and then their website has like, oh, well, we offered 0% financing for purchases, and even refurbished units are cheap. They're trying to soften this blow any which way they can by being like, yeah, well, we know it's more expensive, but we give you options. It's like, fuck off. Nobody's doing that.
No, I can absolutely believe that they're cutting back on the production of some of the consoles, because, like, at this point, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It seems like Grand Theft Auto would be their hope, but like Tricky had put a picture in our group being like, yeah, Grand Theft Auto reservations were like 8-1 PlayStation to Xbox. So yeah, makes sense. But like I said, the article did indicate that, PlayStation wasn't doing too hot on their sales either. But it's the cost of living now. It's the increased price on these systems, and people kind of have it already. But now with GTA being out, people are going out there and certainly, getting into the console game now. Like, again, that word patience. Could I wait for it to come out on PC? Probably, especially with how many games are coming out in September. But let's face it, it's GTA 6. Alrighty. Next up, hey, all those, I know you guys weren't here last week, but Tricky and I talked about EA and how they were providing ad opportunities to potential investors and whatnot, and putting ads in games. Well, obviously it's not working for them, because EA lays off an unknown number of people ahead of the expected $55 billion sale to Saudi Arabia. EA, being EA, decides that they want to continue fucking around with people's lives, and instead of chopping the block, putting the executives on the chopping block, it's the programmers, it's the marketers, it's all the other people that are paying for it. So yeah, good job, EA.
Good job, EA.
Yeah, more evidence to my point that there was no one out there to buy Ninja Theory. So they it's a sad situation. I mean, no one's surprised by EA, and especially, what'd you say, Matt? I hadn't heard that. Is Saudi Arabia becoming a majority investor in EA?
Well, so I think right now what's happening is, I remember this was a report a number of years ago, kind of like on that same level of the Xbox buying Blizzard King Blizzard King / Activision, but this one is actually now in the middle of a antitrust review, just kind of like exactly what Xbox went through. So yeah, there's a July 22nd deadline for it. I think this puts them in the high percentage. I don't know if it's majority ownership, but definitely this has been a hot button topic for EA for a while. It just again goes, maybe don't buy EA games, which sucks, because a lot of hardworking people work on those games and get screwed over by their freaking leadership.
Well, I would have been glad and willing to buy another Dead Space, but they decided not to do that.
Yeah, that would be nice, especially since the Dead Space remake, didn't do horribly.
Yeah, I mean, at least in its first week of or first month of release, it did pretty well. But I don't know. That's not a game you expect to have a long tail.
No, but you do expect people to buy into it, but that's the problem. It's they being EA wants to, again, kind of like the Sony aspect, is really bring you into live service games and keep you paying to play the same game. All right, I'm not going to do that Discord story. Hey folks, Discord is doing this living room thing where you get to, visually hang out in a space. Yay. Probably charge you an arm and a leg for it. So this story comes from Video Games Chronicle, posted by Chris Scullion, because Tricky, who's sitting in our chat right now and is muted, so he better not pipe up, but PS5 Shovelware Studio says all its games are being removed due to Sony's stricter guidelines. And this is AFL Games, who had more than 140 games on the PlayStation Store, are having their games removed. So, yeah, and they said, we would like to share an important update regarding our releases for the PlayStation platform. As many of you have already known, since the beginning of this year, PlayStation have been implementing stricter guidelines for publishing games on its platforms. As a result of these new guidelines and their incompatibility with our business model, PlayStation decided not to continue partnership with AFL Games for future releases on the platform. So, I like that term, their incompatibility with our business model. Your business model being put out low effort games that will, cost nothing and are quick to beat so people can, get their trophies.
They're not selling games, they're selling trophies. That's what they're doing.
They're selling trophies, yeah.
There are games out there like a Hellblade where you're selling an experience. The trophies aren't hard to get. It's not a hard platinum trophy. Most of the things I think in that game are earned. You can't miss the trophies. They're story related, except for the one where you got to find all the lore stones. But, that's selling an experience and the trophies are secondary. These games very much are, hey, here's $1. Can I have a platinum trophy? That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so I look at these and I go, I get it. They're people catering to a specific subset of gamers, and that's fine, except for the fact that
no, it's not. It's not fine.
Well, hey, listen, it's okay for everybody to make a buck. $20 is $20, and $20 could be 20 trophies.
It is not okay to flood the market with shovelware so that they can feed people's addiction to earn trophies, while also making themselves a quick buck on the side. Sorry, I think there's an issue with that. You can go on your mobile device and find a bunch of shitty apps and games on the App Store that you shouldn't put any time toward playing. You can go on the PlayStation Network and you can find how people are taking advantage of the trophy system. I mean, Sony put trophies in games because, they're attached to DLC. It's like, oh, this is an extra incentive for people to buy and play games. And now people have, over time, found a way to just completely take advantage of that system by saying, here is a cheap way to just earn an easy platinum trophy. No sweat, easy breezy, there you go. I think we've seen so many instances of shovelware being just flooding the market that have been detrimental. Most notably, we know most notably back in the 80s, but with the Wii very recently, of how people just joked on the Wii. At first, the Wii did really well. And then all of a sudden, the tide started to turn against the Wii and perception turned against the Wii is just this shovelware shithouse. So, yeah, no, I find something very wrong with these fucking games.
Counterpoint taken. Yield, I know this doesn't affect you very much, but how do you feel? Do you want to extend your condolences?
I'll bet his britches are on fire about this.
To Tricky for not being able to buy shovelware games to earn trophies anymore?
I mean, it doesn't break my heart any. I mean, I'm sure there have been a few gems sprinkled out there, but I for one will be glad to get them off the store or not have any more added to the store, because I like when there's a sale to go through the sale and what games are on sale. And I have run across a few games that I've never heard of, and check games out. But when you got to go through what feels like a half hour or 45 minutes of scrolling through the sale, because it feels like 80% of it is all shovelware crap, it will be nice to not, have that increased every sale.
Yeah, I like I said, I've never been a fan of these types of games, and I never detracted from people who wanted to buy them. So okay, but yeah, no, Alex is right. It feeds an addiction.
No one's a fan of these games. People are a fan of the platinum at the end. They're not a fan of these games, though. Tricky will not under no circumstances will ever say that he enjoys playing the jumping fucking taco.
I will also say, to a point, I know Tricky hasn't done a lot of these games recently, so being a little facetious, but yeah, no, it does affect a subset of players, but hopefully this gets people to actually develop games that mean something. You know what doesn't mean something? Digital purchasing. I'll be the first one to come out here and say it. Sony recently made an announcement that the PlayStation Store is deleting 551 digital purchases via movies, not offering any refunds. So basically, there's a licensing agreement with production company Studio Canal, and the films will be removed from the PlayStation Store and users' library. I can get removing it from the store, but they're deleting things from your library. These include movies like Terminator, Tekken, Sharknado.
Not Sharknado.
They called it the popular Sharknado series. I don't know what their definition of popular is. There's a bunch of foreign films. There is Highlander, Hot Fuzz, which actually is a goddamn shame
that's a good movie.
That for the greater good. Let's see what else is on here. Orcs with an exclamation point. Paddington 2, Pan's Labyrinth, Pilgrimage. A bunch of Rambo movies. So basically, yeah, where my panties get caught up is the fact that not only they're removed from the store, but they're deleting it from users' libraries, meaning people paid for something and they're like, even if you have it downloaded, you can no longer access it. Now, we see this in things like games like Anthem. You paid for a game, they decided to call it quits. Even if you have it downloaded, you can't access it anymore. That's where I look at digital games and go, that's my biggest fear, especially with my Steam library. So if Sony can do this because their licensing agreement with a publisher, a studio, expired, what does that mean for all those games you all have? All those $1.50 AFIL games that Tricky has in his library. This is I don't know who's buying a ton of games and watching or movies and watching them on their PlayStations, but me being the digital rights advocate, that's a shitty move.
It's a very cautionary tale because it matters with movies because movies aren't always cheap. I don't know how much these cost for people to buy. I don't know if it's $10, $20, $30, but still, if you pay for something, and these companies that are pushing this digital age where you don't got to go to Best Buy or GameStop to buy this stuff. Just buy it through us on our digital platforms. If you really want to get people behind on that and convert people to that, shit like this can't happen. There has to be a trust that when you spend money, you will be able to access that whenever you want. And
you actually own it.
Yeah, we've seen instances. Well, that kind of thing doesn't happen now these days. But you at least buy the rights, the license to watch it whenever you want to. So all this is doing is sowing discontent, and it's breaking some trust, even with people who enjoy, who want to buy digital before physical. That the whole digital age, there are things that we need to watch out, things we need to be concerned about, and it makes you think, and think twice about doing it, about jumping completely into digital. So it's bad enough with movies. If this ever happens to games in a larger scale, because it does happen from time to time with one odd game here and there, but if it ever happens with games to where you're spending $60-$70 on games that you can no longer access at all, that's going to be problematic. That's going to be worse. So I think this is a very bad precursor for Sony doing this with movies, because maybe one day it may come to a swath of games you own. But it's not a good look. It certainly doesn't make you feel great about buying digital. It's kind of one of those things where if you're someone who plays a game and then beats it and never plays it again, you're not really that fussed about it. Movies generally, though, games, a lot of times I'll play once and then that's it. Movies, though, you buy them because you want to watch them again. Like you don't, I mean, if you're going to watch a movie once, you rent it. You don't buy it. But this is one of those times where a difference between movie and games, where games tend to take longer to beat, so you don't always have time to go back and replay them. Movies, though, hour and a half, 2 hours, like you can go back though and watch those on a rainy day. So a little problematic there, where people expect to be able to watch these, maybe year after year. Like people get together and do like horror movie marathon nights with friends and watch a whole bunch of horror movies together, and so with seasonal stuff and stuff like that, you may be expecting to be able to watch it year after year, and it just stuff like this just completely breaks your confidence.
It's also a warning to future purchasing. Somebody's going to look at this and go, well, why would I ever then buy a digital game on that network if it could be taken away at some point, or a digital movie at that point? So, yeah.
Because that's one thing, like I have invested in digital music, I've invested in digital games. I've not ever felt comfortable enough to buy movies digitally.
Yeah, well, music, everything I download digitally, like I buy all my stuff from Amazon, which gives me an MP3 file I have sitting on my computer.
It's glorious.
Meaning I have it backed up.
And you can move
and I could transfer it and move it to wherever I want. Good old games does it where you get the executable file and you download it. You can back it up. But, Steam is its own DRM module. EA, PlayStation, they all have their DRM stuff. This is where I say, whether it's a physical or digital, at some point, your console will stop working. And all those physical games will mean nothing. Now you have to go find another console to play it. Well, what happens when in the future we're, 80 years old and our PlayStation 5s no longer work, and getting a PlayStation 5 on the aftermarket's, $9,000. At some point, you do have to draw that line and say, all right, what's my willingness to lose money if this goes away? So that's a personal decision people have to make.
Matt, if I'm 80 years old, the game I'm going to be playing is I'll be so grateful if I don't shit my pants today. That's the game
I'm just hoping my arthritis doesn't keep me from playing games. Yield, I'm sorry. Did we get your thoughts on this?
No, I understand losing the license and not being able to sell it. But to go in there and be like, well, now you can't watch it. Like, that's not cool. Like, you've bought it. Just because you don't have an agreement with the media outlet to sell that anymore, you've owned that. And I was kind of thinking about this, and I was kind of aching it too. It's like buying a DVD or a Blu-ray. And then all of a sudden that Blu-ray maker decides, well, we're not going to, support Blu-rays anymore. So even though you've owned that for 5 years, you can't watch it anymore. That's the problem I have with it, is you've paid for it, it's yours. Might be a digital file, but still, you've paid money for that. So, while I don't overly, I feel that in this instance, Sony should be leaning on the media outlet to be like, listen, you need to then give us refunds to give to our people because, we had a deal here and now you're pulling that deal, instead of taking the ground of, well, the licensing's over, so we're going to take it all back, people. Thanks for the money. Like that, it's dirty. Doesn't feel right.
Yeah. What also doesn't feel right? The wrong people are being held accountable at Bungie. In a Blue Sky post, with great sadness, we are announcing a reduction in force as we reorganize Bungie. As the leaders of Bungie, past and present, we recognize Destiny 2 fell short of expectation these past several years. Following our final content update to Destiny 2, and with our future projects still in early incubation, we unfortunately could not continue operating at our previous size. We know this decision has profound impact on the people affected, their families, friends, and teammates. While these changes are necessary to best position the studio now for the future, that does not lessen the difficulty in the moment or the impact it has on those affected. So, we all saw this coming. Stevie Wonder could see it coming. And I thought I saw a report that even the person who replaced Pete Parsons is now leaving. Justin Truman is also stepping
He's
down.
like, fuck this shit.
Like, yeah, like what? So
Like,
I don't know how much longer until Bungie's no longer a thing.
Look, can I make a point? And I believe I said this in our chat. What game was not? They threw Destiny under the bus. What game was not mentioned in this?
Marathon.
Yeah, Marathon, the game that has fewer players than Destiny 2 right now. Or
So there are actually layoffs happening as part of the Marathon teams as well. It's not just the Destiny 2 teams.
But I mean, I understand that Marathon seemingly is on life support, and they don't want to. Sony and Bungie are like, we cannot throw Marathon on the bus. We are trying to reverse course. We are trying to get this thing going. So I understand why they didn't mention it. But the idea that Bungie didn't meet or Destiny didn't meet expectations is false. This game was the game was successful for years. And
well, it says the last few years, which is accurate. People haven't been happy with it.
That's not the game's fault. It's the people making it, or Sony's direction or whatever. But the whole, even though you can say that maybe Destiny 2 over the last couple of years hasn't been what people wanted, there are still people that actively want to play it. There are still more people who want to play Destiny 2 and want support for Destiny 2 than Marathon. So the problem isn't Destiny 2, the problem is Marathon. I read that and I was just flabbergasted. It's I understand, but also you're blaming the wrong game. It's so. Well, I mean,
yeah.
How long before Bungie? I don't know. I mean, we'd have to see a few more rounds of layoffs. I mean, this thing will limp on for a few years. I think they'll, after Marathon, they'll put out another project. But, Sony closing Firewalk is a massive failure. But it pales in comparison to the PR hit they would take if they had to close Bungie. Because then everyone would scrutinize, hey, y'all spent how much money on Bungie? And then a few years later, they were just gone. That's PR that Sony doesn't want. That's a failure of epic proportions that I think Sony doesn't want to have to deal with. So I think Bungie will limp along, and maybe they can change things and change the momentum. But I just read that statement. It was just man, y'all are just trying to cover up the fact that nobody wants to play Marathon. And the game that you bet on to be the Destiny 2 successor is just a complete flop.
Here you go. Currently on Steam, 90,000 people playing Destiny 2. Guess it's thousands, but guess how many are playing Marathon
3,
right now? Yield?
1,500.
Slightly more, 8,753. Not even 10%
and here's the thing.
of the Destiny 2 crowd.
Helldivers has been out. Helldivers 2 has been out since 2024. It's been out for 2 years and 4 months now. And they don't have any major campaigns going on. It's just major orders. There's no new war bonds out. They delayed the June one indefinitely. They don't have any ship upgrades or anything like that. So a lot of people are maxed out on their samples, on their requisition slips, on their war bond medals. And the lowest total I've seen when I've logged on just to check is 39,000 people playing Helldivers 2.
Currently on Steam, 23,769 people on Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2 is lapping Marathon, and Helldivers 2 doesn't even have shit going on.
24 hours peak is 36,000, so in line with what you're seeing. Yeah.
So, and that's just Steam. A lot of times the number will be 50,000, 60,000, and that's incorporating obviously all of the consoles and not just Steam numbers. But the point is, Helldivers 2 is in a lull where there's nothing going on except just regular gameplay and major orders. And they're just lapping Marathon.
And they came out and said, we're only doing updates now twice a year. They're yeah, we can't keep up with this. So we're slowing down.
So I mean, it's not a good look. We constantly ask how much worse can it get for Bungie? Apparently just every time just worse. Because
yeah, stop asking the question because they'll keep proving us.
At some point, if Marathon doesn't, they've given away free weekends. It's at some point, Sony's just gonna have to we just can't support this game anymore. We just gotta cut it. And maybe they're trying to drag it out so long so they don't have to issue refunds like they did with Concord. But you can't like it seems to be there's no way to pump life into this game at all. People just don't want to play it, and that's the. But yeah, so it's just it in the short term. It's probably going to get worse for Bungie. I don't think it's going to be so bad that Sony closes them or that Bungie just kind of implodes on itself. But whatever they do next is have to be really good. Just give people what they want and just make Destiny 3.
Yield.
But are they going to do that?
Well, what the hell else are they going to do? I mean, maybe they make a new IP, but do they have the money to invest? I mean, from what I had heard, Sony didn't want to do Destiny 3 because it would cost too much. And if you're making a new IP on the scale that people expect from Bungie, it's going to cost a lot too. So I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, it's a tough situation. But I think that if Sony wants Bungie to get healthier as a studio and for things to kind of the ball stop rolling down the hill and change some of that momentum, they're just going to have to pony up the cash and allow them to make Destiny 3. That seems to be the safest bet for them, getting Bungie back on course. Excuse me. Matt, do you disagree?
No, I think Destiny 3 not even being a thing, I look at them and they say, well, our next project is in its infancy. You better fucking do something fast because Marathon isn't going to hold you over. And I don't think too many people are going to be pumping money into Destiny 2 anymore. Alrighty. I don't want to leave us with a lot of bad news, so I am leaving you with a little bit of good news. Nintendo has announced that it's raised its employee base salary by 10%. And there was actually another report that says that they have a couple hundred more full-time employees compared to the same time last year. And another report that they are building a state-of-the-art tech center that is going to be their base of operations for R&D research, technology improvements, future gaming console research, things like that. I said this in one of the groups, I forget where, like, Nintendo doesn't reduce the price of their games. And when they do, it's like it's other retailers selling it to empty their stocks. But like Nintendo's doing something right now. Is the Switch 2 doing gangbusters compared to the Switch 1? Not anymore. But there was a story that the Switch 2 has outsold Japan's lifetime sales of the PS5. So, they're doing something right. And for them to just, blanket say, hey, all of our base employees are getting a 10% pay increase. Fuck yeah. Good job, Nintendo.
This is a direct benefit of not buying every studio you can buy. Just like, doing the Embracer thing or Microsoft and just getting your hands on as many studios as you can and calling them first party studios. I mean, there are times when I kind of be like, man, come on, Nintendo, buy somebody. But keeping your headcount in line and valuing your employees so they're not just numbers leads to stuff like this. So I think that it is in some ways Nintendo's willingness or unwillingness to kind of expand their first party studios does hurt them because it comes down to they're so reliant on first party studios because when it comes to third party, their machines just don't hold up to what games can be played on PlayStation and Microsoft's games systems. But there is a small benefit I would say a benefit in having being more steady when it comes to your head count and your employee numbers because the fewer employees you have, if you do mass hirings, eventually you have to fire people. Whereas if you just kind of stay steady, when you're good with your finances, it's not as rocky. It's not as whiplashy when it comes to how many employees you have on staff. It's a lot easier to kind of manage these things.
Yeah, I look at this and I go, Nintendo actually doing something right compared to everybody else.
Matt. They definitely did something right when they announced the Ocarina of Time remake.
Well, they did multiple things right.
They've done multiple things right recently.
Yield, how are you feeling about this piece of good news for once?
Well, I mean, it's good. I mean, they're Nintendo. It's good for the industry. I think Nintendo gave, everybody a raise. They're investing back in their company by building, the R&D in a time where the other two big companies are kind of laying people off, figuring out what to do. Microsoft seems to be almost on a fire sale. And here you got Nintendo over here going, hey, we're fine. Matter of fact, here's some more money.
The greatest compliment I could give Nintendo, at least in this regard to this discussion, is if you put in front of me Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and you said, you're working for the games divisions, you walk in, as a 20-year-old, and you're going to be expected to work from this one company from the time you're 20 until retirement. Which one of these three companies are you most likely to do that in? And it's Nintendo, far and away. Is the company that I could see people going into and just spending their entire lives working for Nintendo, and then that's the job they work. Maybe not say the job or position, but the company they work for. I would think Nintendo would be more hospitable to that than most other video game companies, especially Western video game companies.
Alrighty, so now we get to go on and we asked a question, and we said, "Hey, what are your questions?" But we asked your question. I can't talk tonight. Tricky, why the hell did you leave us alone? You let me fail here. So I asked everybody in the group, in the Facebook chat, what did you think of the Steam Machine announcement? And the only one that really responded to that was Dan, who said Xbox really jumped on the price increase right after the Steam Machine announcement. And he says that with full understanding of the economics, but it's rough when they were finally starting to stack some wins. So we hit a little bit of that. Will asked, PCists chose their lifestyle. No need to make it easier for them. Why are you PCists like that? Like what, Will? That PC is a superior platform? It is, Yeah. Do we spend more for it? Yes. But if I'm spending more for hardware to play games, I don't want my Lamborghini going the same speed as a Honda Civic. And Tricky said, is any of the hosts happy Tricky isn't there to shit on the Steam Machine and be able to gloat that not only was he right about the price, but also the price of GTA? I don't remember the GTA conversation, but I did post a comment to Tricky that I said, episode 694, and I quote, $699 or $799 for the 512, and for the 2 terabyte pushing closer to $1,200, $1,300. I said, basically, you were half right, but that also makes you half wrong. Either of you disagree?
No, I do not disagree.
Matt, I think you're absolutely right.
Yep. All I got to say about that. Now, moving on to our topic of the week.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
Guess what, folks? GTA 6 launched its pre-orders on June 25th, and we have a bunch of news to cover for you and a bunch of conversations to have on this. And what was the big question everybody had related to GTA 6? How much was it going to cost?
Oh, I was going to guess what the cover art looked like.
Nobody cares about the cover art look like, except the millions. The millions of people who viewed the trailer for the reveal.
But no,
thumbs up to it.
Obviously, people want to know what the cost is. Do
you want to tell them?
I'll
Alex?
let you get to it.
All right. So the base game across the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S will be $80. And let's face it, folks, you already know this. If you pay attention to games, you know what this is. However, they are selling an Ultimate Edition, which is $20 more, which is $100, which to me actually is the big surprise. I would have thought they'd come up with an Ultimate Edition that was, $150 or $200.
Right.
What does that say about the state of the industry or our opinions on Rockstar that we're like, wow, $100 is actually reasonable? So what does the Ultimate Edition get you? It gets you access to a couple additional vehicles, some cosmetics, some weapon cosmetics, additional weapons, access to, I think, what was it? They're a salon, like a unisex salon that they work, access to some clubs that give you some benefits. From what we understand, and this is all based off of Rockstar's main website detailing this, it doesn't appear that there's any story beats or missions on the surface that you're locked out of. So, I think they're banking on people just saying, fuck it, it's $20 more, which kind of goes in line with what I've always said about microtransactions. If you price things reasonably, people are more likely to buy it and you're likely to push more units. But that said, the website didn't give a ton of detail on what each of these things were, except, the cosmetics, what they are, what the vehicles are. But in a game like this, is that truly going to be enough? Like, does that give you an edge on the game early on? And to be clear, when GTA 6 launched, all they're announcing is it's a single player experience launching on November 19th. So does that mean there's going to be no GTA online version? Are they waiting to announce that later? Are they going to charge for that later? All great questions. Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Price for GTA 6 or GTA 6. And again, the Ultimate Edition, you get a 67 Vapid Dominator buggy in Paradise Garage. You get a 95 Grotti Cheetah. You get a retro build at Jason's Safe House, vehicle mod shops, classic car collection, Shih Tzu Squallow, which is that doesn't give me anything. Little weapons, revolvers, compound, access to a compound, Vice City styles for Jason and Lucia, the main characters. So it's a lot of like cosmetic or maybe weapons. And I think there's going to be enough weapons in the game. But one thing I did hear, you remember how in GTA 5, it's basically you carry all the different weapons? Yeah. The rumor is going around that in GTA 6, you have loadouts. You're not going to be able to carry everything. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm okay with that. Actually, I don't know why, but I think I'm okay with that. I have more of a problem with the $100.
Got it.
If I'm thinking correctly, go ahead, Alex.
I think that so I'll take both those questions on because you kind of answered a second part there. The loadout. I mean, if it's me, I tend to in games focus on a few different or just a few weapons. So I think being able to have a loadout where you're carrying specific weapons instead of everything in your arsenal, because what is it? You just would cycle through everything in your arsenal until you got what you wanted to get to.
Yeah. That's
a little cumbersome. So I think having a loadout would be a better way to handle things. As far as the price goes, for me, it doesn't make sense. It's honestly too expensive because I don't want to play GTA Online and the single player, I'll play that. I mean, I think for people who invest the time in GTA and they play through the story and they run around whatever, Liberty City or Vice City or San Andreas or wherever, and they fuck around and they go into the multiplayer, you can absolutely make an argument that $80 to $100, you'll get your money back in value in game time played. So for this one particular game, I know it breaks some barriers and it kind of breaks the mold of what MSRP typically is, kind of the standard pricing, which can be a ball rolling down a hill effect. It can kind of cascade out of control, but a lot of games can't get away with this because they're not GTA. So this is one instance where I don't necessarily have a problem with the price. They give you a cheaper option if you want to. Hey, it's the same price as Mario Kart. Am I right, Matt?
Yep.
And I would say GTA is a much better value than Mario Kart. Sorry for all you Mario Kart fans out there. So,
but you're not wrong.
I don't have I don't have a problem with the price, honestly, even the $100 price, because I think the people who are going to spend that money will get their time out of GTA. I don't see. Go ahead, Matt.
No, and I was just going to say, there's people out there saying many games these days don't earn their $60 price point, much less $80. Grand Theft Auto. If you look at Grand Theft Auto 5. And go, if there is much content in Grand Theft Auto 6 as Grand Theft Auto 5 in these days, I would say it's worth that $80 price point.
And I paid $20 for Rocket League when I bought it. I passed the 1,000 hour mark in Rocket League not too long ago. I would argue that the value of that game was a steal because given the amount of time I poured into it, doing the old gamer nights with the Brothers of Destruction crew and all that, playing all the events, I would argue that paying $100 for that game would have been worth it based on the amount of time that I have put in. Now, again, I think that if other people, like if Ubisoft is like, of course they'll pay $100 for Assassin's Creed. If we start getting to that point, it's like, no, I don't think so. But this is one game where I think you can make the argument that yeah, it's worth the price.
Yeah. So I look at that and say, it's finally good to know confirmed, and unfortunately that leads us to our next bit of the story. The great news is the physical. So, okay, going back 1 second. If you pre-order it online, they are also giving you access to 1 month of GTA Plus. So their GTA Online pay for service. So that's digital. The great news is you can physically go into a store and buy GTA 6 on November 12th. The bad news is there are no disc versions of GTA 5, meaning you go into a store to buy it, you're going to get a code. Now, they're doing that to be able to allow people to preload the game ahead of its launch. However, as I alluded to earlier, there may also be discussions about how large this game actually is. There's rumors that it's, hundreds of gigabytes, 200 plus, maybe even 600 plus, which could pose a problem with people with base PS5s without extra storage, if that's true. Again, the scope of the game is kind of in question, but I look at this and I go, okay, it's good on them for allowing people to preload about a week ahead, meaning on the day of launch, all it needs to do is decode and unlock. But I also go, this is a real problem for the people who are physicals only. They're not going to have access to the game. And there was an article, somebody had gone to the support chat, Rockstar support, and they were told, hey, yeah, physical editions will be available in December. And it was misconstrued. And then Rockstar even confirmed, no, that we're not saying that discs are going to be available in December. It's digital only. And it could be for a number of reasons. It could be the size. And I argued, well, Red Dead Redemption 2 did it that you had a data disk that you installed everything on and then a game disk. There's no reason that they couldn't do that. However, if the size of the game truly is large, that might be 2 to 3 data disks. And as a result, you would then have to, that could increase their shipping and manufacturing costs. I don't know why they can't do it where, in this day and age that they come out and say, well, you put in the game and then you download the rest of your game. Nintendo does that all the time with their cards. I know they face backlash over it, but that's an option. Then you have, there's actually 2 retailers. Who are they? Little Games Pro? No, VGP, Video Games Plus, and Loot Box Gaming. They said following that news, they are not going to be selling GTA 6. I don't think it's a big loss. You don't make a lot of sales on video games at retailers. And then Insomniac even came out and said, hey fans, don't worry, Wolverine is full on disc. So they're getting out ahead of that. And they said, sadly, there might be developers who have to address that moving forward.
Oh, yeah,
so
they'll have to.
Yeah, it's definitely a game these days. I mean, take it back to Nintendo's game key cards, where you put the key card in the system and you have to download, which I still think is a better solution than digital only, because you could still then sell that game key card or put it in other systems and not worry about licenses and things like that. You just have to make sure that the game is available to download, which, as we saw by Sony, could be something that's taken away in the future. So, a lot of news. Evidently, I think it said Rockstar already made like $3 billion in pre-order sales. So it's crazy how much this game is meaning to this year. And I don't see it not being Game of the Year at the Game Awards. But it comes with a lot of caveats. I know, Yield, you had a lot of concerns about it being digital only. You still feeling that way?
Well, yeah, I'll wait until it hits the discount bin. I mean, I've always said, if you want me to buy digital, that's fine, but I'm not paying full price for digital that I could pay full price for physical. So I'll just wait. I have no problem.
What is the discount bin
And-
price for GTA 6? Because it's not like it's
Well-
not going to be $20.
It's probably 40% or less.
Wait, you mean $40 or less, or 40% off?
No, 40% off.
You need it to be 40% off or better before you buy in.
Well, now, yes, with all the controversy with it, yes. Before I buy in,
So you
yeah,
need to be like $50.
yes.
Okay.
Before I buy in now.
That may not be exact
And I'm
math, but
okay-
it's the best I could do.
And I'm perfectly okay with that because I'm whatever. Like I was already before. Like I want to play it because Vice City was my favorite, and we're going back to Vice City. But I'm against the. Here's your case with the downloaded code, and here's your $100 Ultimate Edition, but we're locking you out of stuff that's already, at least I could be wrong, but we're locking you out of stuff that's already coded in the game, but if you don't give us $20 more, you can't touch it. And it doesn't sit right with me, so I'm just like, fine, I'm not purchasing it right away, and I'll go play all my other backlog games. And I'll just wait until you give me a good deal.
I mean, you may be waiting for a discount as long as I would be waiting for it to come onto PC.
I'm okay with that.
Alex, how are you doing? Are you going to buy in?
GTA is too big of a game for me. The one thing that might get me back in is Vice City. I love Vice City. Is it still going to be the 80s?
No, I think it's more.
Yeah.
Okay, then no, I'm out. It's not the 80s, I'm out. But no, I kind of lost interest in GTA a long time ago. The last one I played was 4, and after 4, I'm like, this is a game series that I understand why people love it, but I'm just kind of, I don't want to say graduated because it makes me sound like I'm bigger than GTA or I'm better than GTA, but there's just some games that I just don't want to sit down and put the time into, and GTA is just one of those. I feel like it's one of those open world games. It takes a special open world game for me to want to play it, like a Ghost of Yotei, but I'm just not down for the open world games anymore. I don't want to sit down and invest the time to go do 1,000 side missions and whatever it takes to get to the end of the game. So I'm not going to play it, but I see the appeal for people who do love GTA.
I look at what's coming in September and I go, how much can I buy to play before GTA comes out? I got Wolverine, I've got Silent Hill Townfall, I've got Gears of War. Gears of War is a must buy, but I actually had a buddy who bought an Xbox just so that way he can make sure that we play Gears of War. I got Ace Combat. I've got possibly Onimusha. So it's like, all right, I'm actually going to have to budget my gaming time to sit down and say, what do I really absolutely want to play? Because I will be buying GTA when it comes out. I'm not going to pre-order it, or I should say I'll wait till the preload is available before I order it, because I'm not about to do game day downloading.
Well,
but go ahead.
Matt, can you imagine the biggest reason why I wouldn't care if GTA was coming out? Oh, sorry. Too much soda.
Well, we have to understand when Ocarina of Time's coming out first and foremost.
That's true, but also when it comes to that game, they're like people's videos of things they would like to see changed in the remake, because they can always add shit in the remake. They can give you everything that the original game gave you plus more. Like, for instance, the cut light temple that never made it into. You just got the light medallion from Rauru in the game. What if they add another temple back? What if they add inside missions, a la Majora's Mask, which was mostly about world building and side missions than it was about the temple, the dungeons themselves. I don't know, man. I could be playing a shit ton of Ocarina of Time this fall, and I don't have time to be beating hookers with bats. There's just no time for that.
There's always time for beating hookers with bats.
We'll see about that when we get to this fall. You've got a bunch of games to play, and you're like, I just couldn't beat any hookers with bats this week. I've been playing this, that, and the other.
I think my current strategy is going to be Ace Combat 8, Gears of War, and then GTA. I think I can wait for Silent Hill. I think I can wait for Wolverine, because as fun as Wolverine is and as good as Insomniac is, I'm not a huge Wolverine fan, so I don't think I necessarily need to like jump on that. But I gotta make time for GTA. And will Ocarina of Time be in that equation? Yes, but that's also on my Switch, and I can play that on the move as needed.
Mr. Granelli, I'll have you know that Ocarina of Time is not a game that needs to be played on a small screen. It's a game that needs to be played on a large home television.
Yes, but you're also going to be limited to 60 frames per second, whereas on handheld it can go up to 120. So.
Sir, I'll be limiting you to a great fucking time playing that game. So yeah, don't talk to me about 60 frames per second. That doesn't matter. Gee, I played the old polygonal fucking game. You don't think that I'm
You're saying any upgrade above 20 frames a second is worth
fucking better.
So I think that's my strategy, but I will be buying into GTA 6. I do have immense fun with GTAs whenever they come out. I think the only GTA I hadn't bought at launch was Grand Theft Auto 3 because I wasn't aware it was a thing.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. No one saw that coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, for anyone who didn't grow up and like around high school when GTA 3 came out, it's not like this where it's like, oh, we're just waiting for the next GTA to come out. The first two were a thing and people were not particularly thrilled about them. And then word of mouth after GTA 3 came out started to spread about how fun it was. And like, so no one was anticipating it before launch. And then it's a bandwagon that just kind of like got bigger and bigger as time went on, because as more and more people heard about the game.
Wait a second. What did you say about the first two?
They were just kind of a thing, and people didn't care all that much.
You shut your whore mouth.
Am I wrong?
No, it definitely it had a cult. It had a cult following. I'll tell you what.
There's a reason why GTA 3 came out of nowhere, Matt.
That is true. The first GTA my buddy and I played, he gave me a cracked disc, which I was able to play on my PC. And we played online. And that was the fun part of it. I didn't play it for the story. But GTA 3 was the first GTA that came out. It's kind of like that move from A Link to the Past to Ocarina of Time. From a top-down adventure to this fully 3D immersive environment. So, yeah, GTA 3 I got. Then my buddy and I, Dan from Channel 3, who I went to college with, I remember we were excited for Vice City coming out. We literally lived across from each other in one of our dorm apartments. And I remember us getting and just talking about what we were doing. And then San Andreas came out, and it was fun, but I didn't go through it fully. And then Grand Theft Auto 4 was the talk. And then Grand Theft Auto 5, and sure enough, that was Grand Theft Auto 5 for the next 15 years. So, I want to say that it's definitely going to be, I'm on board with it. Digital obviously doesn't bother me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a PC player. Am I upset that people who are physicals only aren't getting it that way? Yeah, I think they need to find a way to make it physically available. And for this company to be making as much money as they will, I don't know if it's a leak-proof thing that when they have it digital only, that it can't be found unless their systems get hacked. So maybe that's a thing, and then maybe a year down the line, you're going to be able to get a physical disc. I don't know. Just postulating what could happen, but that's what I'm thinking. So I'm on board, but I don't blame people who want to wait.
I cannot wait till we get to this point of the year to see how you manage all this shit, Matt. Because I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know.
Not very well. Not very well.
It's gonna be like you'll finally beat GTA in like 2028.
Well, I'm actually taking off the 19th through the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'll have a week to kind of dedicate to it.
Well,
speaking of dedications, you guys want to round this show out and dedicate some shout outs?
Sure.
Yield, you want to go first?
So, shout out to Matt and Alex for recording this week. Shout out to Tricky for doing his fatherly duties. Hope he enjoyed himself this weekend. Shout shout out to Nitro and Prepare to Die Earthscum for the Roadcraft multiplayer sessions. Let's see here. Shout out to the Brain 76's family for coming over, hanging out, watching fireworks the other night.
Did anybody lose a hand?
Shout out to... No, we're all good. We weren't shooting off the fireworks. We were watching the village do it, so I don't know if any of them lost a hand. We all walked away with all of our digits. Shout out to Gareth for the rarity competition. We just ended another season, and we're getting ready to dive into the second half of the year. So I survived. Woo! And as always, shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom. Thank you for playing games with us, listening, interacting. Yeah, all that stuff. That'll do me for the week.
All right, Alex.
I want to give a shout out to the fans, the Fuel to the Fire as Trophy Horrors, our awesome community. Thank you very much for continuing to support us as we continue to trek down this lonely road of podcast greatness. You guys mean everything. Thank you all. Give a shout out to my co-host, Yield and Matt. Matt, excellent job hosting as usual. Yield, great job bringing the awesome. Shout out to Tricky, who could not be here tonight because we also want to give a very special shout out to Sweet Mama D for graduating high school. Obviously a huge accomplishment in everyone's life. So congratulations to Sweet Mama D, and also congratulations to Tricky for helping her get to that point. It's not just a great moment for the young person, but also a great proud moment for the parents. So I want to give a shout out to Will for his awesome artwork. Thanks, Will, for giving us that big help every single week and helping us pimp out the show. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun. That's going to do me for this week. I'm done.
All right, and shout out to you gents for recording tonight. Shout out to Tricky, and as you said, shout out to Sweet Mama D. Shout out to Will for his artwork. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to check out channel3.gg for your gamified social media. Hopefully you get to come in and find some fun with it in the meantime. Shout out to Sid. Shout out to Gareth for his competition. Shout out to Dan and Tricky and Will for writing in this week for the questions. And then shout out to my wife V for everything that she does. With that said, I'm going to call it an end to episode 721 and have a great one. See you on the next show.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.